Gun warfare being properly introduced to the world of Dr. Stone is a moment that will change everything going forward, and it's a moment that Senkuu himself has actively avoided. He's always considered it a last resort, but given the circumstances, they had no other option but to build one. And in doing so, there's the implication of what people will do with that knowledge, the ideas of what it will give to other characters, but most importantly, once someone has that gun, I mean, there's some understandable fear about giving it to someone like Yo, who, if you look at it from certain points of views, this is a psychopath that you wouldn't want to have given a gun of that magnitude. But at the same time, they are outnumbered, they are outclassed, and they know they're going to get jumped, so what can they do other than go down this path? But as Senkuu points out, there is no turning back, and it's something that from the very beginning, and they even show a flashback in Season 1 with the gunpowder, they avoided this up to this point. They even avoided it during Stone Wars, but this is a moment they can't turn away from, and it's going to have heavy implications because Senkuu feels like shit. It's like you invent a nuclear bomb, whether it's just for show and a threat, at the end of the day, you've invented it, and now that is on the table for other people to use, and it's something he can't turn back from, but as Senkuu says, humanity always goes down this path one way or another. It's just clearly he feels rather dirty being the one to have properly reintroduced it to this world, but full live reaction to today's intent, amazing. One of my personal favorite Dr. Stone episodes of the season. Over on my Patreon, if you would like to see that, it's over there if you're interested. Now, this was a fantastic episode. It flew by, it was like that. I was like, you can't be telling me the credits are playing already. I mean, truly, when we're at like the 15-minute mark, I thought 10 minutes at best. But it's interesting, right? Because this is a very different situation to that of Stone Wars. Even though there's a lot of similarities about preparing and kind of taking the fight to them, this is a different moment. There's a lot of deception at play, and as we see, the plan from last week worked. Send in the best warrior on their side, pretending to be one of the warriors from Senku's side, and basically a bunch of meatheads will start telling stories about how there was dozens of them and how fast they moved. And as we see at the end, because the brother duo, Ginro and Kinro, man. Kinro is, I can see it, especially, depending on the perspective, it looks very similar to Maz, who was kind of jumping their shit. But the idea of pretty much going from thinking your brother's dead to he's barely alive, that has to be such a whiplash of emotions of hearing your brother's barely alive, but thinking that he was dead to begin with. I mean, there's a lot to process there. And one of the coolest things about Dr. Stone is how they go about making things, and you can look at certain things like, why is the gun looking like that? Like, why did they use that basically fidget spinner like design? But you have to remember, they aren't in a place where they can make exactly what they would want to. They have to basically do arts and crafts here, all things considered, break down one thing to make another. So the leftover parts of what they're doing from drones and everything, this is the design they had to go with. But all things considered, it ended up working. It's like a mini shotgun pistol that has 8 rounds, give or take. And seriously, I mean, even if he didn't shoot properly at first, I mean, the 3 bottles misses and then a poisonous snake drops down. I believed him. I was like, damn, he's got some aim. Turns out it's complete bullshit, but he did end up getting the aim down later on. I like the fact that this show's all about the practical sides of things. They explain why things are made a certain way and why they're able to do it. But a lot of times you look at it and you say, did they need to design it in that physical way? Like, couldn't they have made it simpler? Sure, if they had more time, they had the proper parts, but this is all arts and crafts right now, and breaking down the mobile lab or reusing things, it's basically a very practical show, all things considered, and the way they always keep that exciting is something I'll never fail to enjoy. The one thing I'm very interested in, there's this one shot where Magma, because there's a couple more characters we get revived this episode, and Magma is one of them, and he gives a glare towards the gun, and I'm not sure if that's towards Yo or towards the gun itself, but either way, it's interesting because I do trust Magma, but at the same time, sometimes these glares that characters you do trust at this point, they make you second guess what's truly at stake here and what's going to happen, so it will be interesting because we are officially starting this battle, and while the plan does make sense, basically we got a better version of the drone, it's something that can properly be controlled. If we get it, tug of war is going to occur, we made the right wire so it's not going to snap, as we see with a couple of muscle heads on our side. Rope is going to be completely destroyed real quick. We got the gun, and everything in theory could go the way we want, but we know it's not going to go that smoothly. We know that, we're going to get jumped, people potentially could get petrified, the gun could be stolen, there's a lot of uncertainty here. And, just considering the fact that Senkuu alone was so terrified about bringing a gun into this world, if that gun fell into the enemy's hands, you know, how much even shittier is he going to feel, especially if one of his own people get hurt, if not worse, to the thing that he built. It's, you know, the scientist has a lot on his shoulders right now. And while it definitely feels like we have a fighting chance, at the same time, one wrong move, one wrong step, we're tumbling over a cliff, we're getting shot. There's just a lot of uncertainty, and this truly was an episode that changed everything once again for the world of Dr. Stone. Not only just for the inventions and what it will do and the spiral effect, even if it's not necessarily in Senku's generation, this is now here, and more people and more weapons like this will be made. And, you know, yeah, you can argue it's the person who uses it that determines what it is, but we know what this type of technology does to the world, and it truly is going to change everything. And maybe for right now, it changes it for the better in their favor, but long term, Senku knows and is going to have to wear that sin on his sleeve, and it's something that he definitely understands. Now, there was some fun moments, of course. I mean, we had arts and crafts, bringing some people back, sewing up the outfits. But at the same time, this just kind of felt like one of those episodes where you could look at it in a way as the calm before the storm, but at the same time, it felt like with everything that was happening and so many fun characters and just learning about how they improved from the wobbly drone to basically, you would swear you bought that out of a catalog in our own world and it just got mailed to you in 2-day shipping speed. It's just so cool to see what they're doing, and how one of my favorite things about Dr. Stone is that the cast is truly equally important to that of Senku. Sure, Senku is the smartest character, there's no arguing that, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, but when you look at it from having a captain who can steer a ship to played those video games and now can fly the drone better than anyone else, a girl who would normally be a love interest who actually is the entire reason we can rebuild these statues or build the costumes we need to make the enemy think that we are more intense than we actually are. The characters all have a quirk or a trait about them, some have multiple of those, and in doing so, we truly have an ensemble cast that without them, Senku couldn't be where he is. Sure, he made a lot of progress with just him and his pal at the beginning of Season 1, but the entire reason the Science Kingdom was able to be flourishing and built the way it is, or the current island predicament is able to be accomplished this way, is with the ensemble cast. If Grandpa ever dies in this show, he's irreplaceable right now. His skills as a craftsman are Senku could never even begin to imagine. Everyone is important in this show, whether that's an enemy, whether that's an antagonist, whether that's a frenemy, or someone a part of our kingdom. It all means something, and this author is truly remarkable, and I love the production of this show. I love how this show is performing, and I can't wait to see where this battle is going to take us. It's going to be intense, and probably going to make Stone Wars look small in comparison, or at least that's how I'm feeling right now. But let me know your thoughts and feelings on this episode down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Dr. Stone to the channel, and like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon if you're interested. And hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Francis, Backseat, Morphs, Fuyu Hime, and Ninetails Brush. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.